Welcome to Iraqi Dinar Updates, your trusted source for real-time news, analysis, and insights on Iraq's currency and economy. Stay ahead of the curve. Subscribe for updates and expert analysis. Iraqi Dinar Updates, authoritative, trustworthy, and always current.
When people talk about the resumption of oil, they aren't just referring to turning on a tap. It's much deeper than that. It signals that something significant has shifted either politically, economically, or structurally. There's always a reason behind that kind of language, especially in a country like Iraq where oil isn't just an export, it's the foundation of everything. Oil controls the budget, influences salaries, funds reconstruction, and represents national leverage. So when oil starts moving again in a major way, it usually means there's been a breakthrough or something has been unlocked, or more precisely, something has changed. And that change isn't random. It's tied directly to money, specifically to the long-anticipated shift in Iraq's financial structure. For years, there have been talks about a new exchange rate, a financial overhaul that would finally move the country away from outdated systems and into a more modern, independent economy. The idea has always been that Iraq's currency does not reflect the true value of its wealth, its assets, or its position in the region. And that disconnect affects everything. Salaries, government payments, retirement benefits, all of it has been stifled or delayed because the financial framework simply isn't where it should be. So when the oil begins to flow with purpose again, it's not just a matter of export and trade. It's often the result of deeper agreements being put into place, agreements that include how Iraq gets paid, how funds are distributed, and what exchange rate is used in those transactions. The entire economic engine depends on that one value, the rate at which the dinar is measured against the dollar. When that rate is artificially low, as many believe it is now, everything gets bottlenecked. Payments are delayed. Projects are paused. Contracts are frozen. But once there's credible evidence that the rate will change or has changed behind the scenes as those delays begin to dissolve, you'll suddenly see movement. You'll see salaries being paid, deals being signed, and international companies showing renewed interest. One of the clearest indicators of this shift is the handling of government salaries and retiree payments. These are major financial commitments that require coordination, planning, and predictable cash flow. If there was no plan to shift the value of the dinar, many of these obligations would remain in limbo. But when you see momentum, when you hear talk of retirees being paid, of long-promised contracts being fulfilled, of the budget being finally activated, it all points back to one root cause, a coming change in the exchange rate. Because without it, none of this movement makes any sense. The math doesn't work. The resources aren't sufficient at the current rate. So if they're moving forward, something bigger must be coming. The HCL, or hydrocarbon law, is another major piece of this. It's been held up for years, not just because of political disagreements, but also because the numbers didn't make sense at the old rate. The law is supposed to ensure that the wealth from oil is fairly distributed to the citizens of Iraq, including through regular payments. But how do you do that when the value of your currency doesn't support meaningful payouts? It would be symbolic at best. But if there's a new rate in place, something more realistic and aligned with Iraq's actual wealth, then the HCL becomes not just viable, but powerful. Suddenly, the law can be implemented in a way that genuinely benefits people. And then there are the lower denominations of the so-called lower notes. These don't make sense under the current rate of 1,310 IQD to the dollar. It would take piles of cash to complete ordinary transactions, and that's just not practical. But if the rate increases if the value of the dinar is raised, then introducing lower notes becomes a logical and necessary step. You don't need lower denominations when your currency has very little value. But when that value improves, the entire monetary system has to be restructured to reflect it. That includes printing and distributing new bills, which are reportedly ready or already printed, just waiting for the green light. All of these are the salaries, the budget, the contracts, the retirees, the lower notes, and even official publication in the Gazette is interconnected. And they all seem to be waiting for one trigger, the new exchange rate. That's the piece that makes all the others fall into place. Without it, things remain stuck in limbo. With it, everything can move forward rapidly. It's not speculation, it's pattern recognition. You can see the evidence building, not through leaks or rumors, but through actions. When a government begins to shift gears on these many fronts at once, it's rarely coincidental. There is also the official budget. Iraq's budget is tied to oil revenue and the exchange rate. A higher exchange rate means greater purchasing power, better financial flexibility, and more room to meet domestic obligations. If the budget is being activated or adjusted, as has been indicated, it's likely because the foundation for that new rate has been laid. These things don't happen in a vacuum. They require coordination across ministries, banks, and international observers. The contracts that are starting to be fulfilled are another signal. Contracts are usually denominated in US dollars or in terms of their dinar equivalent. If you start seeing movement on these agreements after months or years of delay, it suggests that the terms have changed, likely because the financial mechanism backing those contracts has improved. Again, it all circles back to the exchange rate. At this point, the evidence is piling up. It's not about whether a new exchange rate is coming, it's about when it will be publicly acknowledged. Many believe it's already been agreed upon behind the scenes, and we're just waiting for the final pieces to be shown to the public. The international players involved, the sudden clarity on long-delayed laws, and the renewed pace of financial activity all suggest that Iraq is transitioning into a new era. One where its currency finally reflects its potential and its people can begin to benefit from the wealth their nation holds. The current rate of 1,310 to the dollar no longer makes sense. It may be the official number, but it doesn't reflect the direction things are heading. Iraq's future isn't in undervaluing its currency, it's in stabilizing and strengthening it. That future seems to be rapidly approaching. The signs are everywhere. You just have to know where to look. Thanks for watching Iraqi Dinar updates. Be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on the bell for the latest dinar developments. See you in the next video.